Today I'll be restoring and making one working phone from two broken phones. This phone has a cracked screen, a drilled screw, missing screws, rounded screws, a missing bracket, and the charging port acts up. This iPhone 11 Pro will be used as my filming device, at least for the foreseeable future, and I wanted to make sure it looks at least decent. I restored devices on this channel and I can't just leave the phones I use look like a mess, right? This phone was repaired by someone before and they made it almost impossible to take apart, but this is just the outside. On the inside, however, it almost made me quit this project. I will be using this donor phone to switch the components from the one with the broken screen into this one, effectively making from two phones one that functions and looks good. So let's jump into it. First, I have to unscrew the single pentalobe screw that can be accessed. Although the other was unsuccessfully removed after the drilling, they decided to cut the holding bracket when they installed the screen. Honestly, this phone is such a mess, it's unbelievable. But this isn't even the half of it. The inside of the phone is the real headache. I mean, missing screws, it's like whatever, they can be replaced. But rounded screws, a totally different story. I wasted so much time trying anything I could think of to remove the rounded screws on this phone. I had to do most of them off camera. You will see me having a few attempts here. I had to cut a lot of footage because it honestly took forever. And thank God half the screws are missing because all of them were more or less damaged. I can't stress enough what a pain these microscopic tri-wing screws are if they are rounded. If you can't get one out, your device can become basically unrepairable. Right, enough ranting for now. The main bracket where the screen connectors are should have 6 screws, this one had 3. One completely rounded. After searching all the internet, the only thing I could think of to unscrew that rounded screw was to bend the bracket and twist it, squeezing that screw and turn the whole thing until it got loose. Moving down to the camera bracket, there was another pretty destroyed screw. The other ones did come off after some insistence though. This last screw that was rounded, I managed to take it off by cutting in a channel with an old flathead screwdriver, which kind of also took forever. But from this point forward, the frustration starts to vanish and I can continue with the disassembly. Time to remove the front camera and the Face ID sensor assembly. Now I start unscrewing the standoff screws that still hold the logic board in place, okay? After that, I remove the SIM tray and every connector from the board. Now that everything is disconnected, the logic board can come off. Next, we move on to the battery, okay? Here I am using a pry tool to make a bit of a gap under the battery and pour some isopropyl alcohol to soften the adhesive and start removing the adhesive. The battery has another connector towards the charging port, so another bracket must be removed before the battery can be lifted out. This battery, although it looks like a second-hand battery, has about 50 charges, so it's in quite good charge condition. So I won't change it at this time, it will be transferred to the other housing. Now, on the second phone, I repeat the same process. I sped up this part of the time-lapse because it's the same as before, but you can follow the on-screen instructions if you are attempting something like this, okay? And by the way, if you made it this far, thank you very much for tuning in, you're the best. You can check out my other videos on the restorations playlist, by clicking the pop-up banner above. Also, if you have any opinions, don't forget to leave a comment below. If you want to go the extra mile, you can also leave a like and click on the subscribe button. I put out videos like this weekly. Again, thanks, and you absolutely rock. Moving on to the video, one thing to mention, be careful around the battery with the tweezers to not puncture it, because it can combust and no one wants that, right? If you don't feel comfortable doing it with tweezers, just pour more alcohol under the battery and gently try to lift it up without bending it. That way you might even save the adhesive and reuse it, or try pulling the pull tabs by hand, but if they break you'll probably still have to resort to alcohol. Now that the battery is removed, I start cleaning the old adhesive that got stuck to the frame and proceed with removing the broken logic board and installing the working logic board from the phone that was poorly repaired. The first screws that go in are the 3 standoff screws. Next is connecting the cameras back to the board. Now I remove the adhesive from the battery and put some new adhesive that I cut because I didn't have any pre-cut adhesive on hand. But this will hold just fine, and now I can install the battery in its place. Then I start reconnecting everything back, starting with the power connector flex and the second battery connector, after which I reinstall its bracket with its 4 screws. Next, I clean up the Face ID and front camera assembly and place it in the frame, after which I place the camera bracket and screw it down. I move on to the earpiece and sensors assembly, and here's another disappointment from the person that repaired the phone before. They ripped off one of the sensor cables. Up to this point I thought Face ID didn't work because that part of the screen and glass was ruined, but it also didn't work because they ripped off a sensor, and without this part intact Face ID won't work. Like I said before, I will be using this phone to make these videos, but I wanted to keep as many functions as possible working. But looks like that's not the case anymore. I decided to install back the original earpiece assembly on the working screen, because at least everything else except for the Face ID will work. Now I can connect the screen to the logic board and test if everything is working properly. We've got the Apple logo, which is great news. After a small test, there are no apparent screen issues, and the touch looks like it's working just fine. Now I can remove the screen again and prepare for the final assembly. I disconnect the battery again and the screen connectors, and I start to remove the old adhesive from the frame. Once the adhesive is removed, I can use a Q-tip with isopropyl alcohol to degrease the area and apply new pre-cut adhesive. Now I reconnect the display and I clean the internals with a bit of alcohol, after which I screw down the bracket. I also plug back the battery and screw down its bracket as well. After that, I use an air can to blow away any dust and place the screen in the frame. Place it at an angle from the top and gently press on the side until you hear a small pop. That tells you the screen sits properly in the frame. Now I place and screw back the 2 pentalobe screws, and the phone is now assembled. And now there's just 2 things left to do: clean it up and turn it on. So here's our restoration. From 2 broken phones, we made 1 working phone that also looks decent enough. Everything works great, well, except for the Face ID. That kind of annoyed me, but at least the phone looks better than before. Even though it doesn't look brand new, it'll serve its purpose. I got this donor phone for about $50, and I got the almost impossible to disassemble phone by trading it with an older phone I didn't use anymore. It was good enough value for me, but little did I know it would torment me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a bit frustrating, and I apologize if I also sounded frustrated, but sometimes things just get on your nerve. But now that I managed to make this restoration, I'm actually really glad I did it. If you enjoyed watching, consider liking the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And if you made it to this point, you are an absolute legend. That's it from me. See you next time. Take care and stay awesome.